And we're back with a channel update. And the main news coming in is that Factorio is the next game up. It won the poll on the Patreon. And yeah, I was not seeing that coming. And Dwarf Fortress coming in second? That was actually a big shock for me. That's the main game that's going to go on the channel, replacing X4 and Space Haven, which we're almost finished with X4 as well. Space Haven just finished there recently. But I thought I'd go over how these names ended up on the list and why they were there. And it was basically during the last channel update, I asked for suggestions. And there was a few. Quite a few. About 130-ish. I don't know, I'm pretty sure there's some duplicates in there. Like, after you've written down 50 or 60 names from the comments, you're like, wait, was that name already on there? Whatever. Okay, but then you had to figure out what way to sort them. And that is where this abomination comes in. This is a sort of a rating system that was invented. And big thanks to Verin Werewolf. They emailed me the details on this. They've actually got a whole GitHub that pulls the details from Steam to grab all of this information. Now, the information it grabs is the game name, its ID, genres, recent reviews, all reviews, total reviews, release date. And my weird scoring system is basically... Actually, wait. First, I had to grab all of the names that were provided on the list and then convert that into, well, pull them out of the actual full list to figure out what went where. And that gives us a score, and we could sort by which one scored the best. How the games are scored is relatively straightforward-ish. For example, just Satisfactory here. It's based on what are the recent reviews, what are the all-time reviews, how many total reviews, and what was the release date, and I assigned them some weirdly arbitrary values back in an old update video. Helldivers here is the best example because it's got a difference between recent reviews and all reviews. So you can look on here, like, basically it's got very positive with the recent reviews, but the all reviews are mostly positive, as in lower. Reason being is, it had some downsides to it at times, but then they've improved it recently. So that's why I put both of those separately. And then the total number of reviews is a separate thing because things that have lots of reviews are generally pretty well liked. I mean, people will hate review, but not nearly as much. So it's a good meter stick. And then the release date of it. Usually newer games tend to be more positively received. So that is how you end up with this list. Oh, and the GitHub link is going to be in the description. I should really figure out how to use that link to run that. It basically allows you to pull all the games down and maybe change them. You know what? Not important. What is important is I then took all the games from here that I'd played before. Except for Star Sector, because I forgot about Star Sector, because Star Sector's not on Steam. Also, Sandustry, Automated, Void War, OpenTTD is a demo. Sorry, Automated is also a demo. Venture, like, all these ones either are unreleased or not accessible right now or not on Steam, which is why they never ended up in this list. To make a list of all the games that a series had already been done on. So that's how we ended up with this list. And I figured, it was good to have a repeat of a game just to see what people liked. And it turns out it's Factorio that everyone wants, which... bit bizarre. Was not expecting that one either to rate so highly. But hey, that's just the primary game, or the first one we're picking. We've got to pick some more games. Now, the thing is, if you want to do a poll, it's really hard if you want to use YouTube. On YouTube, you can make a poll, but the maximum number of options is 4, which means we have like 100. Yeah, there's no way. It would take forever to poll them all. However, Patreon is an entirely different beast. Patreon allows you to go all the way up to 25 options. And I've also been advised that I should have put none of the above and included that as an option. If I didn't include none of the above as an option, it would, leave people who didn't want to vote for any of the games that are listed here. And then down here, we do have the option to allow multiple choices. This means people can select multiple games. Theory being, what people can do is just pick multiple games they'd like to see, and the top 4 I'll stick on YouTube, just on the YouTube polling, so that people can pick on YouTube of the final 4, which is the one we go for. I mean, this is the most democratic I could make it. Also, I kind of added on a little bit extra. You see, my 2 favorite games are actually not included in RimWorld, and under game type, they go indie, simulation, and a little bit of strategy. So I thought I'd give a couple extra points to any game that's indie. I mean, support the independent scene. Why not? Though that is actually getting really hard to define anymore. But nevertheless, the point was 2 points for indie, 1 point for simulation, and 1 point for strategy. And I added those onto the games. That's why the list is a little bit different here, and that's where there's that new total over there. Just to try and spice things up a bit. It did not really change it much at all. So that has given us 24 games to choose from, and I think I'm going to have to actually do a little bit on each game so that people know what they're voting for. There's a lot there. I didn't know what half of those were when they showed up in the comments. But I think what I'm going to do as well is I'm going to do this is sort of like the best of the best polling. I'm also going to do a best of the worst polling and take the 25 or 24 lowest rated games and put them in their own list. And then, see which one of that one wins. It'd just be nice to play something completely bizarre. I'm also going to have to pick out some ones that I thought were just fun that I'd like to maybe do a list of ones that I looked at and thought were interesting. For example, this is Void War. It kind of looks like someone took FTL and then combined it with we've got Warhammer at home sort of thing. Uh, yeah, something about command an ancient starship, blah blah blah. But it looks like someone basically said, no, 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 this is like a legally distinct entity from Warhammer, and we've just pasted FTL, smashed FTL and Warhammer together for funsies. I don't know if it's any good. I looked at it and thought that looks interesting. So I'll have to do a list of those. Just to do have a week playthrough of that one, like where it's just 4 or 5 days, be done with it, no long-term playthrough, just a quickie. So yes, Factorio is going to be the primary. The secondary will be going up on a poll on YouTube in a day or two. But for now, I have to do a quick run through all of these games so that people know what they're voting for. Otherwise, it'd just be weird. Like, I mean, do you know what Shapez 2 is about, or Door Kickers 2, Task Force North? That one is... Again, never mind. Let's just start at the beginning and do these quickly. So this is Palworld. It's basically Pokemon, but with guns. I missed that when I was younger, but my understanding was it's like unsupervised young children doing underground animal fight clubs or something like that. In this, it's pretty much the same thing, except there's bigger monsters. So you get them, you use them as unpaid, non-voluntary labor that you can use to do stuff. And you get to fight a bunch of monsters that you then can capture some of them to use to do things like that. And it seems to be incredibly popular. This is Mountain Blade Warband 2. Basically, first person, ride around, do stuff, but you can also hire entire armies. There seems to be a whole bunch of extra strategy and stuff that's been tossed onto it. Very similar to Mountain Blade 1, if you've ever seen that. Just better graphics, more stuff going on, is my understanding. Terraria, a classic. This has been around for a long time, but basically you land on a planet or something, and then you go down and do some digging and building, and you can make contraptions. And did you play golf? Okay, there's a lot of stuff that goes on here. Supposedly, this is like one of those games that will take up most of your life. Project Zomboid. Now, this one is a top-down zombie survival game. Static camera. You can only see what you can see in front of you, so once you hop through a window like that, yeah, everything else goes dark on the outside. Your job is to survive as long as you can. You can use crafting skills, carpentry, stuff like that, and then when you die, you can just respawn as someone else again, but your current existing zombie will still be out there somewhere. Good times. Hugely popular. Now, you gotta remember, all of these are really, really high up on the list in terms of reviews and things. Coming in at number 5, we have Hearts of Iron 5. Ignore all of these fancy graphics. This is going to be a lot of logistics, building up your armies and then sending them out. There won't be a lot of fancy graphics. It'll be namely the nitty-gritty of making sure everyone's got their ammunition and, all of that stuff going on. Supposedly incredibly detailed as well. Also, do you remember, these things all have very high ratings and reviews. This is Space Engineers. It's where you build spaceships, orbital habitats, ground-based habitats, all that stuff. It's very, very complicated. You got to do a lot of stuff in this. This is one that's going to stress your brain power quite a bit. Like that ship that's just picking it up, they had to design pretty much every single block of that to make that work. Kind of mental. Oh, looks like they've introduced kitchens and stuff. I don't think you really need those, but they're really going for the whole vibe of, yeah, you can build just about anything. So detailed. City Skylines. Basically design and build cities. It's going to be a grid. You know it's going to be a grid, right? I don't know why anyone would recommend this game and not think I'm not just going to build a grid everywhere. You know exactly that. In fact, then I'm going to terraform the land so that I can conform everything. There we go. That was a perfect grid back there. This round stuff, no, hell no. Giant grids and city blocks, and then everything would be perfectly mirrored everywhere and symmetrical, because that's how it should be done. Okay, this is Enshrouded. I had never heard of this before. A massive, immersive open world. Seems to be a sort of a RPG role-playing game. I think this gives us a better idea of what we'll be up to. More a case of you can build stuff, design stuff, and it also seems you're going to need to level up and become a stronger warrior for fighting beasts and things. Not exactly sure what the end goal is, to be honest, but I assume it's to kill some stuff. So, always good. Interesting one to end up on the list. This is No Man's Sky. Now, I remember when this was first released, people were not happy, but supposedly it's been updated massively, and it's way, 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 way better now. This one's made the list, and it actually ranks quite highly. It seems it has recovered from its early negative starts. Looks very interesting. Oh, I should probably describe it. Yes, you run around first person, you spend a lot of time in your ship, you go around, explore planets, research, upgrade, build a base, that type of stuff. Then we have Planet Crafter. I played a little bit of this ages ago when it first came out in the demo. Basically, you land on a planet and then you have to effectively terraform it and convert the whole planet over to an oxygen atmosphere with plants and all that sort of stuff. At the start, you're going to be basically spending your time building things, running a distance away from your spaceship, then running back to your spaceship to get oxygen, and then building yourself a bunch of habitats and things like that. A lot of the stuff you'd expect from standard base building space stuff. Of course, eventually you do want to terraform the whole planet, so there is an end game goal, and once that's done, I think that's the end, though I'm sure they've added on some extra content. Then we have Sid Meier's Civilization 6. Oh my god, I think 7 was also mentioned, but 6 just had so much of a higher rating it floated up to the top. Yes, this game is the kind of game where you just go one more turn. Turn-based strategy, you form cities, then you fight against other people, and depending on the difficulty, it's horrifyingly hard. And it will soak up your entire life, build some grain storages, build some troops. My advice, never start this game unless you have at least like 6 months of your life free. Otherwise, you're just going to lose all of that time. Then we have Brotato. Oh my god. Okay, so how do I explain this one? It's like Vampire Survivor, but you're a potato. I mean, I'm all for potatoes, so this kind of works out. Though sometimes it looks like an egg. You go around, you kill stuff, you level up, and this would be more of a short-term thing because I don't think there's any really long-term play to this. You just run through it, try and survive. You get random drops every time, and hopefully you get to the end of it or get as far as you can, something along those lines. Yeah, so that's Brotato. This is Door Kickers 2. This one's all about using your little assault team to clear out areas. So you'll have missions to go in and either rescue people or blow stuff up or kill people. And then you tell your team what to do and then you watch the orders play out. So you have to do a bunch of strategy to try and make it work. You've got sight lines, you can shoot through windows, you can throw flashbangs, grenades, that kind of stuff, and progress your way through the missions. I think there's a permanency progression, as in your people can get better at doing the jobs, or they can end up dead. Looks interesting. I don't think I've played one of those in a long, long time. Then we have Shapez 2. This is basically a factory game where they give you a bunch of shapes and then you have to combine them into different ways to fulfill the requirements of the central core. So the central core is going to request, oh, give me this type of shapes of X. There's the central core there on the left. Give me X amount of shapes of this many. And once you do that, it'll ask you for the next and the next. And every time you complete an objective, it gives you more stuff that you can build. And you're probably going to need those to build more things to fill the core with other stuff. And the whole plan is just to build a bigger, more complicated factory. And it's not like it resets every time. You have to keep expanding onto the factory you've already made and rejigging and things. Yeah, it drives you absolutely nuts, I'd say, because you can't... I just like fresh building areas, and that having to rejig everything would drive me mental. But yeah, looks interesting. Then we have Crusader Kings III. Did you ever want to rule an empire? Did you ever want to marry your own horse because you're stark raving insane? Did you ever want to lead an inbred group of nobles to victory or insanity, whichever, or both? Be insane and inbred and still somehow run a kingdom. Yeah, it's sort of a bit like the Total War series, except there's a lot more politics, betrayal, backstabbing, assassination, bribery, and stuff like that. And you'll probably get killed long before you get there. Not from armies killing you, but you get backstabbed by your own people. This is Tactical Breach Wizards. This ended up on my wishlist a long time ago, just surely from the idea of it. You're basically a SWAT team, but you're a SWAT team made of wizards. And I think the bit I like the most is your doctor's not actually a doctor, he's a necromancer. So what he does is, when you're close to death, he just kills you and then brings you back to life again. So he's not really a doctor, he's more just an undeader. Well, sometimes he deads you to undead you. But, he has to get to you early enough because it's sort of like going back in time. Yeah, look, let's just say it's a weird game. Also turn-based, tactical type game where you have turns and people have abilities and things like that. It just seems very bizarre. Also kind of interesting. FTL. This one's an absolute classic. Basically, you start on one side of the galaxy, you move to the other in your little ship, and you're trying to survive along the way and build up your ship as you go, because at the end there's a big enemy waiting for you. But if you stop, enemies catch up with you and kill you. So you have to just keep moving and move fast enough and hopefully find shops. And it's a bit randomized and you can start in a different ship. And yeah, this can basically soak up. It takes about 40 minutes, a couple hours maybe tops to do a run. And then if you complete run successfully or get far enough, you get access to new ships, new crew types, and you can go on boarding actions and get fireproof people, set their ship on fire, then send over your fireproof people to kill them while the ship is on fire. All sorts of interesting random ways, depending on the roll of the dice, of course. This is Timberborn. It's basically sort of a strategy game where you play as beavers. And you have to manage water and, a little bit of hydroengineering here and there. You have to grow crops for them, keep them alive, that sort of thing. But they're all, super cute beavers. And you can dig a lot of tunnels as well. It looks intriguing, and I've got a lot of recommendations to play this, so this was definitely going to end up on this, and it does rank quite highly as well. I'm not actually sure what the enemy or stressors are in this. Do other beavers try and come raid you, or is it just the environment you're fighting? I suppose we might find out. This is the Stanley parable. You basically start at a desk, and then this guy starts telling you to do stuff. He's basically narrating your life, and you can do what he says or not, and then it just gets super weird. That's all I really know. I haven't seen anything more than that. It's just he'll tell you to go into a door or not, and if you don't do it, the story kind of changes. It gets really freaky. Very highly rated. People love it. I don't know. We'll have to see. So this is Grounded. I'm trying to find better footage that actually shows you more of what it's about. But effectively, you've been shrunk down to, well, it's Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. And for, actually, oh, that is an old reference. You're basically shrunk down really tiny and you're living in a back garden. And you have to survive against a bunch of bugs that are living out there. Plus, maybe there's some fish in a pond. I don't know. You make your armor out of whatever you can find and using the carcasses of bugs you've killed. And you basically try and survive, and you're going to be drinking water droplets, finding new materials to craft stuff, make yourself a bit of a better base, and try and solve how you ended up out here, or get shrunk, and then maybe try and get yourself back to normal size. There's probably some big bad monsters you're going to have to face as well. But yeah, it's basically a lot of tongue-in-cheek stuff. You'll find small items items out there that are from the giant world that you can use to your advantage. This one has been heavily recommended for a long time. Speaking of heavily recommended for a long time, this is Against the Storm. This is sort of like a strategy game where you have to build your little base and survive, but you have to move every so often. Basically, there's a storm coming and you need to stay ahead of it. So you're basically building up your base, dealing with a bunch of problems or advantages that come with that particular location, and then once you've hit a certain milestone, you then move on, before hopefully the big oncoming storm catches up with you. And of course, you're going to have to fight off nastier and evil things and all sorts of stuff. So we'll see how it works out. But this one has been heavily recommended for a long time, just because of the sort of replayability of it, of you do a little bit here, then you move on, then you do a little bit somewhere else, as opposed to one giant strategy where you're just stuck in one spot all the time. This is ASTRONEER. I did a quick playthrough of this one time. Well, I played it for a day or so just to do a quick episode on it. Effectively, you get knocked off course, you lose all your mates, you land on a planet, and then you gotta survive and build. So you gotta build yourself oxygen, you gotta stay in range of things to keep your oxygen supply going. You probably gotta solve something, but you can also do a lot of terraforming, building stuff, unlocking new technology, building buildings. And of course, you have to go around and find those rare resources you're going to need to build certain specific special things, while also finding the crash sites to get other things that you're going to need. Oh, did I forget to mention the cave diving as well? Yeah, a lot of cave diving going on. This is Core Keeper. Never heard of this one before. Top down, you go around, sort of an adventure thing, it seems. Might be aspects of base building. Honestly, I could only know this from the trailers. I've never even heard of this before. But it seems to support about 1 to 8 players, a little bit of a RPG, got a Terraria feel to it from what I've seen. And finally, we have Stellaris. This is basically space genocide. You go around, you make yourself your race, and then you try and build up, and then you try and kill everyone else. I mean, there's other ways to achieve victory, but that's pretty much the way you're going to go. Or you can go with the assimilation route, or there's technological victory. There's like a bajillion and a half expansions, it seems. Also, it would probably take me about 6 months to get anyway decent at it. This seems like a complicated one, just judging by the sheer quantity of stuff on it. Though it does look really, really tempting. Oh, I should probably point out, this is more of like a top-down strategy game. You're not going to be any first-personing stuff here. It's all about building ships, building up planets, building infrastructure, all that type of thing. There are some fancy space battles, but I think barring the first few, you don't really tend to zoom in and watch them. It's more icons facing off against other icons. There's quite a lot of customization, though. You can go like with very high-tech ships, or you can go with just masses of ships, or a combo of both. And that right there is my attempt at a concise explanation of the 24 games that are going up on the Patreon. 4 of these will arrive on YouTube in a day or two. And in the meantime, I gotta finish off X4 and start prepping for Factorio. I've forgotten everything. It's been a long time since I played Factorio. Also, I should point out it's Factorio Space Age. There's been like some people would prefer me not to do a space game, but I'm sorry, it won the poll. I mean, technically, is it a space game? It's more of a factory builder. It's just a factory builder in space. And some of that looks very, very... Okay, it looks way too steampunk. And we've got... Oh, okay, that looks actually pretty cool. We got volcano planets now? Wait, how do you have oil on a volcano planet? That doesn't make sense. Wouldn't the oil set fire to the petroleum? You know what? Doesn't make a difference. We'll figure it out as we go. Ooh, that's a cool looking thing. Is that a giant worm? Someone's been watching or reading Dune. Okay. I'm going to cut this out here. I think I've seen enough to know this is going to be a little bit weird and probably brain-melting, considering how long it's been since I've played the game. Is that Bridges? They gave bridges for trains so you can go over stuff, so there's now like 3 dimension. Yes! Okay, it's very clear to me I will have to study up on Factorio. I think RimWorld is going to be one of those ones that's going to be coming on shortly. We're really expecting a new release or a new DLC to drop on RimWorld, so I'm kind of holding out for that. Oxygen Not Included will come after RimWorld. I still haven't played the one with the new bots. And with that, the channel update has gone far too long. I'm going to cut this out here. I hope you enjoyed it. Good luck.